Hello fellow horror collectors, if you don't know, my name is Mike, and in this video I'm going to be doing a figure review for the recently released, feels like it's been forever, but he's finally here, the Trick or Treat Studios Pumpkinhead figure from Scream Greats. I am so excited to take a look at this figure. It looks even better in person already, just through his packaging. So without further ado, let's slice right into it. Alright, it's finally here for what felt like a year and a half, I think, on pre-order. We finally have the Trick or Treat Studios Pumpkinhead figure from Series 1 in hand. I cannot wait to take a look at this. First and foremost, I want to apologize about the glares, but once we get him out of his package, let him breathe our air, it's definitely going to be a lot smoother figure review for sure. But like we always do, we like to take a look at the box, and just like the Killer Clowns from Outer Space Scream Greats that I have, I absolutely love Trick or Treat Studios for the packaging they have for their Scream Greats figures. They're so awesome. I love the dark red, the black, the film reels, as you can see. This packaging absolutely just brings me back to a place in time. If you're my age group, in your 30s, like me, I'm 33, and this just reminds me so much of the late 90s to early 2000s, and I just picture myself walking into that one section at a Toys R Us or a Suncoast Video, and I see this sitting on the shelf. That is what this reminds me of to an absolute T, and that's exactly what the Scream Greats line is and what it's trying to be. I have a whole video on my channel about Scream Greats. I'm very proud of that video, so if you want to know more about this line, go ahead and check out that video. But of course, right here we have a full shot of Pumpkinhead, kind of a face shot, the Demon of Vengeance, super cool. All the stills from the movie, I love this on the left side here, all these screenshots from the original film, the big Scream Greats right there at the bottom, and the opposite side is more of the same. A really cool shot of Pumpkinhead there with the Scream Greats logo with the movie reel again. Love this packaging. Totally hits nostalgia for me and probably a lot of other collectors, but it also just looks super badass. So 10 out of 10 on the packaging, hands down, but I can't wait any longer. Let's go ahead and get Pumpkinhead out of his box and take a closer look. Alrighty, here he is in all of his glory. Once again, Trick or Treat Studios, Pumpkinhead, Scream Greats. This figure is the end of Series 1, and we are all patiently waiting Series 2, which should be coming out soon. They touched a little bit on it at New York Comic Con recently. But I gotta tell you guys right now, when this figure was first announced, and I saw this picture right here, I thought, well, I love Trick or Treat Studios, I like Scream Greats, and I love Pumpkinhead. But this figure doesn't look that great, but hey, it's still better than the couple previous that we've had before from back in the day from McFarlane and such. But holy shit, can I tell you, holding this in my hand, looking at this in person right now, this is immensely better than I even thought it was going to be. This figure could end up being my favorite figure of the year, hands down. This bad boy stands at 10.5 inches tall. This is a massive figure, and he comes with the great Scream Greats base here to keep him standing. And one thing that I love, of course, he has holes in the bottom of his feet, and the Scream Greats base has the pegs, of course, to make him stand. But what I love so much about it is the pegs are nice and they're fat. They're not these little dinky pieces of shit that sometimes you get with these NECA display stands that don't work for shit. As you can see, just off camera right there, that will not hold the Michael Myers Halloween Kills figure at all. I pick him up daily. But these pegs, they're fucking fat and they fit in the hole perfectly. So we can take a little rotation look here at Pumpkinhead, and then we're going to go ahead and take a closer look at articulation, the detail, the sculpt. We'll talk about his tail and all of the beautiful goodness in this figure, because I'm telling you guys, this is a must-have if you are a Pumpkinhead fan. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. So let's pull him in a little closer here so we can take a closer look at Pumpkinhead. I absolutely love the detail on this figure. His sculpt is absolutely outstanding. Everything from his ribcage showing to all the wrinkles in his skin, the veins in his arms, all the different colors of Pumpkinhead. His skin tone is absolutely perfect. And why the figures that came before this never hit the mark with a Pumpkinhead figure, because just in terms of skin tone alone, this is way more accurate to the film. Pumpkinhead was not supposed to be as dark as he was for the figures that came before this. When they were designing Pumpkinhead, the legendary Tom Woodruff Jr. had recently done Alien, and they wanted to make Pumpkinhead look as differently as possible from the Xenomorph when they were coming up with his skin tone. So what they did was they were looking through a forensic magazine, and they were looking at dead bodies and dead flesh. Kind of like when pigmentation, leaves the body and then the skin changes color. That's what Pumpkinhead is based off of, and his skin tone is absolutely perfectly spot on. Maybe a little off in certain areas, might be a little tiny bit heavy on the red here in his face. Pumpkinhead does have red on his face and on the sides of his head in the film. It might be a little heavy right here on the mouth area, the mandible, but other than that, his skin tone is way more accurate than any other Pumpkinhead figure that is currently on the market right now. This thing is gorgeous in that regard. The sculpting, I cannot simply talk about enough on this figure. You can see a close-up here on his chest. You can see his rib cage. We talked about his veins, all the different skin tones. Look at the sculpting on his head. Look at that. All the little different pockets, the ridges. Look at this thing. Look into his eyes. He looks like he has soulless eyes. If that's not the Demon of Vengeance, I don't know what is. I love this. You get to see the veins in his head. This is a gorgeous figure. His shoulder bones that are sticking out and protruding. His shoulder blade bones. Look at this thing. This thing is gorgeous. Such a good sculpt. Almost spot on skin tone accuracy for this Pumpkinhead figure. This blows away all of my expectations by far. Way better than I thought it was going to be. Now, in terms of articulation, his tail here, it does bend and it appears to be bendy, but I don't believe it has a wire in it that will hold position. It more so kind of bounces back into place, but it still is movable, so if you were to put him against a wall or something, it would be okay. His tail's not going to affect. It's not stiff. So that's pretty cool. I love that. And again, if you know the Scream Greats line, it's known for taking design over articulation, so he doesn't have a ton of articulation, but it is here. Of course, in his abdomen here, he can go up and down and a little bit side to side, kind of like a 360 here in his abdomen area, which is pretty cool. And of course you see he's got big old ball joints on his shoulders for his arms to go out, up. I think probably full rotation, but I don't want to twist it too much because I don't want it to hit the plastic back here on his shoulder and break anything. But you can see he's got pretty decent rotation there in his shoulders. Wrists and elbows do not. They are posed in place. His other arm, of course, can do the same. And his head, I believe, you can do a pretty close to a 360. It does look side to side. Little stiff joint on his head there. So if you want to heat that up, if you want to pose it a little bit differently, I'm not going to twist it too much. I don't want to break the figure. I've done it here before on the channel. I've broken figures because I was being a little too rough with them, so I don't want to do that. Look at his fingernails. Look at the detail in his fingernails and how sharp these things are. Oh my God. These things are wickedly sharp. Of course, this is 17 and up figure. This is an adult toy collector piece. This is not meant to be given to your kids for Christmas so they can play with it and have them fight their fucking G.I. Joes. That's not what this figure is for. I love this figure so much. It's such an amazing piece. The detail, the sculpting, even the articulation is better than I thought it was going to be. This is a case where you see a picture and you buy the figure and it blows you away in every way, shape, and form. It's way better than I thought it was going to be, and I just love it. Absolutely perfect. I'm giving this a 10 out of 10 for Trick or Treat Studios. This might be my favorite figure of the year. Now, there is another Pumpkinhead figure coming out from Syndicate Collectibles that I have on pre-order that I should be getting in the next couple weeks, so I'm really excited to see what they did different with their Pumpkinhead figure, because I gotta tell you, this is going to be hard to beat. Again, this bad boy is 10.5 inches tall. This is a monster of a figure. Decent articulation in the abdomen, the neck, and the shoulders. His legs are statuesque. They are posed in this position. They do not move. This is all statuesque in the legs, and from the elbows down is all statuesque as well. But as you can see, I simply moved his one arm and his head just slightly, and it looks like a completely different pose than he was when we started the video. So that little bit of articulation, I feel like, gives you enough play to where you can pose this figure the way you want. This is a standout in my collection. Looking forward to the next Pumpkinhead figure, and I'm also really looking forward to what you all think about this figure down in the comments below. So thank you so much for watching. It really does mean the world to me. And one last time, my name is Mike, and this is my design.